When successful CEO Darius Coleman boarded Stratus Air Flight 917, he expected the first-class treatment he always received. As the only black man in the cabin, what transpired wasn't just a service failure, it became a powerful lesson in respect and accountability. Dressed impeccably in his tailored Navy suit, Darius settled into his first-class seat, focused on reviewing his merger presentation for the following day's meeting in Geneva. Like always, he had pre-ordered his preferred meal, lobster bisque followed by filet mignon. It was more than just food. It was the standard of service his position commanded. When the flight attendant approached, something seemed off. She returned moments later with news that would spark an unexpected chain of events. "I'm sorry, sir. We're out of the luxury meal options. You'll have to choose from the regular selection." Darius was stunned. "I pre-ordered," he stated calmly. Her dismissive response came quickly. "It must not have gone through." Happens sometimes. Without further explanation, she walked away, leaving him with a mediocre sandwich and lukewarm water. Meanwhile, Darius couldn't help but notice every other passenger in first class, all white men in business suits, being served caviar and champagne with attentive care. The message was clear. He had been overlooked, not just as a customer, but as a person. For anyone else, this might have ended with a complaint form or an angry outburst. But Darius Coleman wasn't just anyone. A decade of flying with Stratus Air had never resulted in such treatment. This wasn't a simple oversight. It was a pattern he recognized all too well. Rather than creating a scene, Darius maintained his composure. While appearing outwardly calm, he sent a single text message to his assistant, Marcus Brandt. "Initiate internal audit protocol flight 917. Cabin crew ID needed. Confirm when ready." The transformation had begun. As the flight continued, the crew remained oblivious to what was unfolding behind the scenes. Marcus was already accessing personnel files, uncovering a history of complaints against the flight attendant who had denied Darius his meal, discriminatory remarks, rude behavior, and notes about prioritizing certain guests. Later in the flight, Darius pressed the service button. When a different attendant approached, Darius calmly asked about the meal situation. "I pre-ordered a luxury meal, and yet I've been given something else. You mentioned something about prioritizing guests. Can you explain that?" The attendant stammered, unable to form a coherent response. Darius simply nodded. "I understand," he said quietly. "I understand completely." The plane touched down in Geneva, and the crew went about their usual routine, believing everything was normal. They had no idea that their careers were about to change dramatically. As they disembarked, they were met not by their usual transportation, but by HR personnel and security. Their employment records were immediately frozen pending review. The video evidence Darius had gathered was already in the hands of Stratus Air's CEO, along with a formal request for a comprehensive audit of their service practices. What the flight attendants failed to recognize was that the man in seat 1A wasn't just another passenger to be dismissed. Their small act of discrimination had exposed a system of complacency that had allowed such behavior to thrive unchecked. There was no dramatic confrontation, no public scene. Instead, Darius orchestrated a quiet but decisive response that sent ripples through the entire company. The crew didn't just lose their jobs, they lost the privilege of thinking they could treat anyone as less deserving. Darius Coleman's message was clear. Respect isn't optional, it's non-negotiable. One act of disrespect had sparked a transformation in an entire company's culture, proving that sometimes the most powerful responses aren't loud protests, but calculated actions that leave no room for denial. This story reminds us that true power lies not in how you're treated, but in how you respond to mistreatment, and that sometimes the most effective form of justice is the kind no one sees coming. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stories Demystified. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers so we can continue bringing you powerful stories of prejudice showdowns, poetic justice, and underdog comebacks that inspire real change.